Hi, my name is Kevin Fernandez and welcome to my channel, Gamers Genie. Today, we're going to learn how to play the heartful dice game, Kingdom Hearts Perilous Pursuits. This 2 to 5 player game, published by the app. In this game, you take on the role of Sora, Donald, Goofy, Riku, and Kairi to defeat the Heartless and save the worlds from darkness before it takes over the world and destroys it completely. Will you be able to keep the world safe and allow the light to guide you? Or will you be consumed by darkness and have all the worlds destroyed? Find out as we go to the table and learn how to play Kingdom Hearts Perilous Pursuits. Each player selects a character and takes the matching player board. So for this game, I'm going to play as Sora. Jordan's going to play as Kairi. And then we'll put Riku, Goofy, and Donald back to the box, as we will not be using them for this game. Then you slide this marker onto the player board right there. And you keep it on the 10 spot. Also take these sliding pieces. We're going to move them off to the side as we do not need them currently. And you take the shield chips. We just do the same thing. Shuffle the deck of item cards. And I'm going to activate my Genie magic now. We're going to just place this right up here so it's easy access for both of us. And you got to place them on one side of the world card, so we're going to place them on the left. Then select your world cards and separate them. Got level 1, level 2s, and then level 3s. These cards are double-sided. Place the world you will be playing in face up, in a face-up pile in the center of the playing space, with a level 1 world on top, the level 2 world behind it, and the 3 level 3 worlds at the bottom. So we take and put 1, 2, 3 level 3s, 2 level 2s, and a level 1. All the other worlds you take and you put them back in the box. Take the Heartless marker, it looks like a little speck, and you put it on your start space. In a 2 to 3 player game, it will start on the blue circle, but if you're playing with 4 to 5, you start on the green triangle. Since this is going to be a 2-player game, we're going to put it on the blue. Now, if this, after you've played this once, if it feels a little too easy for a harder game, you can add an additional level 3 world to the bottom of the stack. And for an easier game, you choose 3 level 2 worlds and only 2 level 3 worlds. And that completes the setup. You're ready to board the gummy ship. Each world card features a unique capture track. All players must work together to move the Heartless marker from its starting space to the world save space. However, the world will spawn Heartless every turn. They will need help from the 5 different abilities depicted on the player board. First is Protect. Add 1 shield token to the board. A shield token can be removed from a player's board to prevent a single point of health from being lost from the player. Then we have Attack. This moves the Heartless token 1 space closer to the world saved. Then Distract. Remove 1 die from the world's dice pool. The removed die must be the one in the action space on your board, down here. For me, up here for Jordan. Then we have Collect. Draw an item card. A player can hold up to 3 item cards. If they have 4 item cards, they must discard 1 immediately, but they get to choose. Ability. This is unique to each character, So make sure to check it out before you start playing the game. And then wild. This symbol can be used for any of the previously stated actions. It is only found on blue dice. And finally, heartless. This dice is rolled at the same time as the regular dice, but cannot be set aside. It is only found on this black die. There are two different types of item cards. Cards with dice symbols and cards with text. Like this one has a symbol and this one has text. Item cards with dice symbols can be used during the assigned dice phase as additional dice. Any player can play dice face cards during this phase to help the action player complete their board or take an action. Cards with ×2 under the symbol are worth 2 dice, but they must be assigned to the same player's board and cannot be used to take an action twice. And then, action cards can be played at by any player at any time. Use them to re-roll dice, to keep the Heartless from rolling as many dice, or to ignore the Heartless symbol if the Ignore Heartless card is played. Looks like that. When the Heartless rolls. None of the players will have to suffer the effect. Worlds are saved from the Heartless through the use of the 6 dice. On a player's turn, they will roll dice to make sets and then assign them to their player board and their companion's player board. A turn consists of 4 phases. First, roll dice. On your turn, you will roll the 6 dice up to 3 times to create sets to complete your player board. After each roll, if there are no Heartless showing, the active player must set aside any number of dice. A player may change their mind about which dice to set aside after each roll. However, after the 3rd roll, they must keep and attempt to use the symbols shown on the dice. If the black die shows a Heartless, the player must gather up all dice rolled with the Heartless and re-roll them. If the Heartless symbol is rolled on the 3rd roll, the player will have fewer dice to assign for that turn. So, for example, I have an attack dice, so I'll set that one aside. And then I have 2 collects, and then I'll do my 2nd roll, and then I'll do my 3rd roll. And let's just say I got the shield, so then I'll place that there. Then you assign dice. After you are finished rolling, then you use the symbols rolled to create and take actions on your player board. Wilds are grouped into the appropriate set during this phase. It is important to note that all players have the same actions, but in different orders. This means it is easier for some players to take certain actions than others. Actions are created by adding tokens to the player board from left to right. First, a player must ready the action by filling the leftmost space. To do so, they must, in a single turn, assign the dice showing the indicated symbols. Attack, attack. Next, they set the action by assigning 1 additional die from the indicated symbol and placing it to set the token in the right-hand space. Like so. And then, this may be done on the same turn the action was made ready, or on a future turn. Once an action is set, the player may activate and take the action once per turn by assigning a die with the matching symbol. In addition, once the player has said an action, they may assign dice of that type or wild to another player's board. If that player has the same action set, this allows the other player to take a reaction during the current turn. Sometimes it will be advantageous for the active player to choose to forego placing a die on their board. This is especially true if another player is low on health and could benefit from an extra shield, or if the active player already has 3 cards. Then you activate the dice. Once all the dice that can be assigned have been assigned, it is time for the players to activate the dice. A little note before you activate your dice. It is important to share dice among players. A single action space may not hold more than 1 die. Therefore, teamwork is required because a player cannot make more than one attack or gain more than one shield during your turn. Actions can be taken simultaneously in any order, but it is helpful if players return the dice to the pool after taking their actions to remind them not to perform the same action twice. The exception to this is the distract action. Each die that is held on a player's board in the distract space keeps the Heartless from doing as much harm to the world. Subtract these dice from the world dice pool. Keep them on your board until after you roll for the world in the next step as a reminder. At the end of each player's turn, they must make one roll for the world. Each world card shows how many dice, so we got 1, 2, 3 blue, and 1 black for this world, and what effect of each die facing will be. That is right here in this little column. The Heartless in the world will either spawn more Heartless, so you move the Heartless marker 1 or 2 spaces per symbol closer to the world lost space, which is down here instead of up here. And it just shows how many Heartless remain in the world. And then attack. Attack the active player's health, reducing it by 1 or 2 for each symbol rolled. That would be this symbol up here. World effect. Down here, this symbol is on the black die only, and the effect is unique to each world. So as you progress through worlds, you'll find out how different they are. A little note, players can play item cards such as roll 2 fewer blue dice for the world or ignore the Heartless to negate some of these effects. If a player has shields on their player board, they may choose to lose 1 shield per attack, prior or rather than losing the health. If a player defeats the last Heartless in the world, moving the Heartless marker to the world is saved space, do not roll for the world at the end of the current player's turn. Instead, first start or add to the contained world stock, which will just be here. That'll be the first thing you gotta do. You will need to save 6 worlds in order to win the game. All players remove all the set tokens for their actions from their player boards. Each player, in turn, rolls a blue and a black die. They must remove the corresponding ready tokens from their player board. So I have to remove these 2. If anyone rolls the Heartless, they must remove the ready tokens from the 3 shortest actions on their player board in addition to what they rolled from the blue die. If they are lucky enough to roll a wild on the black die at the same time they rolled a Heartless on the blue die, at the same time they rolled a Heartless on the black die, they may leave all their ready tokens on their player board. And finally, you pass the dice to the next player. If Heartless Tracker moves off the end of the track, the world is overrun with Heartless. When this happens, you discard the current world card and randomly select one of the worlds set aside at the beginning of the game, and you add it to the bottom of the stack. So, usually I like to pick a level 1 world to be a little kind to myself, and then we just add it to the bottom of the stack. Start or add to the world overrun stack. So since this was kind of our first thing, we have a stack started. If this is the second card in the stack, you lose the game. All players remove all the set tokens from each action. Each player in turn rolls the blue and black die. They must remove the corresponding ready tokens from their player board. If anyone rolls the Heartless symbol, they must remove the ready tokens from the 3 shortest actions on their player board, in addition to what they rolled on the blue die. If they are lucky enough to roll a wild on their blue die, the same effects will happen in the previously mentioned steps. And then, as I previously mentioned, you just pass the dice to the next player. This game can end in one of 3 ways. The players win if 6 worlds have been saved. So we have 1 here. If we had 5 more, we're good. However, the players lose if any 2 worlds are overrun, or if players lose any one player's health to 0. That's all you need to know to play Kingdom Hearts Perilous Pursuits. If you have any questions about this game, please put them in the comments below and I'll get to them as soon as I possibly can. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell to be notified for videos just like this. And if you're a big fan of the channel as a whole, consider becoming a Patreon supporter on our Patreon page. You can support us for as little as $1 a month and it gives you early access to how to play videos just like this one. I'd like to thank our current Patreon supporters. Your donations mean a lot to this channel and helps us do what we do. If you're a big fan of the channel and like to show it, consider going to our Etsy shop and you can buy a bunch of cool t-shirts that we've designed. I'll leave a link to both of those in the description below. Be on the lookout for our upcoming gameplay video on Kingdom Hearts Perilous Pursuits. But until then, may your heart be your guiding key.